There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Oh, what's up? Welcome into episode 149 of the Program Guys podcast. Mason Prince, Patrick Hertzberger, Mark Hall, Matt Gann with you here today. Today is Wednesday, November 13th. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Find us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. Gentlemen, we are here 4 deep on this Tuesday night as we record. And the Oklahoma Sooners still suck at football. They're still bad, but we're here. Go back and watch the post-game pod if you haven't yet. It's a nice little Vince sesh for the boys. But anybody's morale higher than it was 2 days ago?
I mean, we're a couple days removed, right? We're going into a bye week. Nothing can hurt me on a bye week. And I actually think that that's a great place to be if you're us, because it would have been coming off a victory. You have a bye week to then build towards Bama. Now we just get to take a step back and not really think about exactly the every detail of what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, still probably one of the worst losses that I've seen as an Oklahoma fan. That part doesn't feel better, but yeah, I agree. Being able to not be hurt this week makes me a little bit better. Matt Gann, what about you, brother?
That's how I feel. I still look at the highlights and I look at the stat lines, and knowing that OU had this in the bag the last few minutes and for some odd reason losing this game. Just not sure how. It hasn't sit with me right. It's nice that we're not playing this weekend, but knowing what we have around the corner really doesn't make me feel better, especially after watching the Alabama LSU highlights, and we have to play both of those teams. Doesn't really make it any easier knowing those are the final two teams OU's got to play, and they're much better than Missouri on all three levels.
Gonna suck. What do you got, Pat?
Yeah, I think I'm in a worse spot. I've been thinking about it a lot. And man, we've just never felt this low as a fan, really, in so long. Like 2014 was but then we beat Bama in the Sugar Bowl. But this is really bad, and I'm depressed about it.
They were bad the year after the Sugar Bowl.
2013 year led into the Sugar Bowl, and then it was the 2014 season that ended in the Russell Athletic Bowl against Brent Venables, actually.
Yep. Clemson, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying it's the worst we've felt like during a season or in general? Because this is
during a season.
Okay. This is not worse than like the day after Lincoln Riley's interview about the LSU job, right? This is not worse than the USC thing. It's just not. We've got pieces in place for a very good defense, and the roster as a whole has added talent and depth in a way that it didn't have. The cupboard was bare. I know that it feels doom and gloom, but even if you fire Brent, as long as you keep guys in-house, you've still got a talented defense. You've still got talent on offense, even if it's not any of the guys who are playing right now. Shout out Nick Anderson.
I saw some OU fan tweet. I wish I could give you credit. I'm sorry, but the copium was in full effect, and they showed like Nick Saban's first 3 seasons, how he went.
Nick and Dabo.
Yeah, Nick and Dabo.
Or Nick
yes.
and Bob. Yeah, no, Nick and Dabo.
It was Nick and Dabo, because they went like, bad record, good record, awful record. And I mean, sure, if that's where you want to hang your hat, I'm not going to tell you not to, because I still believe deep down somewhere there's a good coach in there in Brent Venables. I just need it to develop faster than it is. And I'm not sure we're going to get there. Hopefully we do. But boys, who does believe in Brent Venables? OU President Joseph Harrows. Joseph Harrows, quoted by George Stoya today at the Board of Regents meeting, and he got this quote. This is from Harrows. Okay. Quote, his support for Brent Venables, it's unwavering right now. We know it's been a tough season. I've been around Oklahoma football for a long time. We have the right coach. This is our coach. We knew it was going to be a tough year going to the SEC the first year. You add that with shifting the NIL landscape, or I'm sorry, you add that with all of the things that are taking place around the shifting NIL landscape, with hopefully more certainty coming next year if the preliminary approval process becomes final in the lawsuit. We knew there was going to be some turbulence. Obviously, we'd love to have more wins, but our confidence in the coach is as steady as it's ever been.
Do you have the Joe C quote as well?
Yes. Joe Castiglione, sorry. Joe Castiglione said, quote, obviously the season thus far has not gone as hoped or planned, and that's disappointing to a lot of people, including us. Even considering the significant challenges we've had, such as unusually high number of injuries, but it's more disappointing to the players and the coaches that have invested so much in the season thus far. We're mindful that we haven't met the Oklahoma standard for 2024. That said, we truly believe in Coach Venables and our team and are completely focused on supporting them and looking at all the ways to address the needed improvements now, as well as in preparation for next year.
Pat, what do you think?
I like the quotes. I think they're honest too. I don't think they're blowing smoke. I think they're behind Brent Venables. I think that's a good relationship. And it's only positive. Only positive there. I don't think they're blowing smoke.
All right, Mason, what do you think? There's a reason why I'm doing this. Mason, what do you think?
It's what they have to say, right? Like they have to. Because if you're not going to fire the guy, then this is what you have to do. You have to make him feel secure in where he's at and let the fan base know, hey, no matter how bad it gets, we're not there yet. So buckle in for whatever the hell these final 3 weeks is going to look like, because it's not changing no matter how bad it gets. But yeah, what else are they going to say unless they're going to fire him? And from that sounds, they're not. I guess I feel okay with that. But I'm glad that they know that it's bad. I don't know how they wouldn't. Like, what do you want them to say, right? Like,
how do you possibly not know it's bad? Right.
And Joe brings up a good point, a point that every OU fan has brought up this whole season, and it is injuries. It is injuries. Like, does the story of the Oklahoma Sooners in 2024 look different if you are healthy from the beginning of the year until, let's even call it Texas? Is the story different? Yeah. Is the story different? And I seem to think it is. I do. But sorry, you got to adjust. And they have not. They haven't at all. So,
Matt, from those quotes, how do you feel? What do you think?
I don't think anyone had on their bingo card that OU might finish 5-7 and be dead last in the SEC going into this year.
I think a lot of people did.
Texas fans did.
Maybe Texas fans, but I think a lot around the hype going into the season, Jackson Arnold's performance from the Arizona Bowl leading into the season, a lot of players coming back, Billy, Danny, the wide receivers. I think everyone, and even to us, thought OU would be 8-4, 9-3, 10-2, maybe being playoff eligible. So this has definitely been a severe regression. And when you think about BV's first couple of years, it's just gotten worse. And we've talked about this before. Where is the progression other than really highly talented recruiting classes in this ever-changing NIL landscape if the talent doesn't prove on the field and you're not winning? And so this year is a real big kind of notice that I think BB's got a shorter lease than what we anticipated. I think a lot of us said, hey, maybe 3 to 5 years. He's got the building blocks, the right culture, the right recruiting. But I think that leash is down to 1 to 2. I think if he doesn't make a splash hire and things don't turn around very significantly next year, I think his seat is getting very, very warm. And that's something I would have never said going into this year.
And that's a fun way to leave it with you guys, because right after Joe Castiglione gave his answer, there's a tweet from Eric Bailey. Eric Bailey says, I asked Joe Castiglione, quote, can you say right now that Coach Venables will be back in 2025? Unquote. Now, you guys will remember last week, Florida's AD released the same kind of statement about Billy Napier, and then they got waxed. They got waxed. They got dominated. Joe Castiglione says, quote, as I just said, we're focusing on all the areas of improvement that are necessary now and for next year. That's not a confirmation.
It's not.
And so I've been watching today as the two big quotes that you shared, Mason, the Joe and Joe quotes about backing Brent have been going around. And this has just been in my mind the entire time. I'm a stick with Brent guy, but it seems to me like even with those words out there, these guys are evaluating everything still.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. There's too much money tied up into everything. And part of the thing, I don't really know off the top of my head Brent's buyout. If
I
you
think it's
were
44 million or so.
44.8.
okay. That's a large chunk of change, right? Like it's tough. I don't know how you do that. So what do you want to spend the money on? Do you want to spend the money to buy out Brent Venables, or would you rather spend the money on NIL and an offensive coordinator you can pay top dollar to and make him one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the country, if not the highest paid? I guess that's the question you got to ask yourself. I tend to lean more, and it'll save you more money, quote unquote, to spend that on NIL and spend it on an OC rather than buy out a coach and then have to pay another one. So you're in a rock and a hard place here. You need it to pan out. You have to have it pan out. But I don't know where we go from here. I guess we're here. We're stuck.
We're getting to a really weird dead money zone in college football with the Jimbo Fisher contract. And, if Brent gets fired, if any of these other coaches get fired at this point, there's always a $40 million buyout attached to it. And that seems to be making the difference here. Billy Napier's gone before last week's game if there isn't a $40 million buyout attached to his name. And I think it's definitely going to play a part here.
Yeah. You're not Texas A&M. You can't afford to keep paying these buyouts.
That's a good point.
You can't. You have to hit on your coach. You can't afford to do, because for example, say you do buy out Brent Venables and the next guy comes in and you're still paying Brent Venables' buyout, and in 2-3 years this dude's a bum and you got to move on again. I just
right.
I don't know. You're in between a rock and a hard place, and all you can do is dance with the one that brought you. And I think that's what you got to do. Whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know.
And with that in mind, Mason wants to announce his support for Joe John Finley to return as the full-time offensive coordinator.
Jesus Christ.
So we can dance with the one who brought us.
Good God, man. No one's making less of a case for themselves than Bill Beanbaugh and Joe John Finley of having a job next year. No one is
tight ends coach at Mississippi State.
No one is doing worse at convincing people that you should hire me. It's wild. I don't get it. And if Bill Beanbaugh doesn't change his NIL stance, which he has to, right? There's physically no way he can't. It has to. Yeah.
We're getting those guys now. We're just late in the game.
Yeah. There was a tweet from Michael Fojay.
Ryan
Fojay. Thank you.
Ryan Fojay, Michael Fasusi.
There you go. But this was Fojay for sure. I know I mixed up the names, but it was for sure Fojay. Basically kind of saying again, he's not going anywhere. Sure. Okay. That makes me feel fine. But are you going to get here and develop? And are you going to get here and play week one? I don't think so. I don't.
He's signaled the wrong things to the freshmen, to the offensive line freshmen coming in, because you can't have an offensive line this bad and not try out your freshmen more, especially when they have good film at Oklahoma this season.
Yeah.
They've played well.
Yeah. I also just think every freshman offensive lineman comes in getting promised reps and then having to fight for those reps. So I think that it is not that much more different than any other position. Once you get to the field, once you're actually practicing, it doesn't matter what your coach promised you. You've got to win those reps. Quarterback's the one place where it might not be the case, and we've seen some of that, right? But I think if you're an offensive tackle prospect and you come in and you're clearly like worse than Logan Howland, you're not going to start over Logan Howland. It's just not going to happen.
Is there, and I'll start with you, Matt, because we did talk about the Jackson Arnold thing. Are we? I guess I want to start with Pat. Pat, are you still on the pack your bags train for Jackson
Absolutely.
Arnold?
Yeah, needs to go.
Kind of am too. Matt, I want to start with you. If Jackson Arnold does pack his bags, what's your plan for quarterback next year? Are you trying to develop Michael Hawkins, or are you hitting the portal? And if you're hitting the portal, what's a name, if any, that you're looking at? Because I mean, we don't necessarily know. Like, guys will enter eventually in December, but off the top of your head at all, is there anything that sticks out?
I think Noah Fafita. Come play in the
Fafita?
SEC,
How
not
much
Arizona.
eligibility does he still have?
He was a true freshman
last year. Yeah.
Okay,
He's
cool.
a true sophomore.
Cool. He's fun. You won't get T. McMillan, but you still get Fafita.
Well,
Matt, did you
McMillan
have
will be.
someone?
McMillan's going to the draft anyways,
Right,
and obviously
right.
Arizona hadn't had the season. I don't know any particular names, but it would be interesting. I think the portal is where you have to go. I mean, that's where the biggest splash is going to come from. Kevin Sperry, Michael Hawkins. I would like these guys to continue to develop in OU system and have that depth. I think we've seen it the last few years. It's important to have a second and third string guy because of injuries, but quarterback has obviously been the one area that we have not had a lot of success at, and that can't be just blamed on him. Obviously, offensive line and injuries all around, but I think you got to hit the portal. I don't know who's going to be available, but it's better than what we have right now, and I have no idea what Kevin Sperry is going to be like when he enters.
The
for practice.
pairing that I've seen is if we go and get Tulane's OC, Joe Craddock, the guy who worked with Clemson or worked with Brent and Clemson, the quarterback there, freshman Darian Mensah, listed at 6'3", 200. He's not 6'3", 200, I promise you. But third string came in as freshman came in as the third string, won the job in camp. And the theory that I've seen floated around there is if you go get Craddock, maybe you get Mensah too. He's had a better season than either of our guys have, but is that the pond we want to be swimming in? Right? The freshman quarterback from Tulane.
Right.
Cam Ward. I mean, I don't like
He's
it.
going to the draft.
Really? Oh, I thought he was.
Yeah.
I thought he was coming back. My bad.
No,
Yeah,
he's going to be a first round pick.
He's going to be
first
like
round
a top 10 pick. He's
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah, he's a solid quarterback for sure. He's good. DJ Ungaloo. I'm just kidding. Nah, I mean, I don't have any name that sticks out. Like, theoretically, yeah, you'd love to develop Michael Hawkins, but like you got to get a guy in there who is going to develop them.
Or Jackson Arnold.
Mhm.
There's a reason he was a 5-star. I'm not saying like that's the answer because I've got some of the same doubts you guys do, but there's a reason the guy was a 5-star. He's got the tools. He just needs the coach, the right coach.
I think Jackson Arnold could develop if he knocks this shit out with his obsession with RPO. You can't read it. So
He's
stop
not
trying to
calling
run
the
it.
plays.
I know, but that's what he likes. They're running things that he likes.
Do we know that?
I think so.
I think at some point, if it's effective, if it's ineffective, and you keep running it, that becomes a coaching failure. So Jackson's gonna leave and go to Notre Dame, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you don't want to do that? All right, cool. Throw the ball a little, and it's gonna be better because the line will be better."
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you stick with Jackson Arnold, we already let Dylan Gabriel go for Jackson Arnold. I don't think he gets a second chance here. So this would be a second chance. The other point I'm going to make is if Brent Venables decides to keep Jackson Arnold and it's the same crap next year, that gets Brent Venables fired because he kept him.
Agreed there.
And so it's too much of a risk to keep him on this roster. And I think like you're saying, I think Jackson Arnold can be a successful quarterback. I think it's very probable that he will be. I don't think it'll happen at the University of Oklahoma.
It's a really good point, Pat, about keeping him and riding with him, and that could be the thing that sinks your ship. That's a really good point that I don't
do that
think
if you're Brent. I agree with that. Can't do that if you're Brent.
Yep.
Matt, you're
Any,
quiet.
yeah, Matt, anything else?
You just have to, you're just going to have to evaluate what talent comes into the portal because I don't know what's going to be available. Obviously, every offseason that we've had, NIL has played such a huge factor in all these QBs moving around. So it wouldn't surprise me if some guys enter and, hey, new offensive coordinator, bring along some new talent, some big splash. OU is going to have to make a huge move, I think, in the offseason for some more talent acquisition, both in the quarterback and the offensive line realm.
Something interesting I was thinking about yesterday, and I kind of want you guys' thoughts on, or not kind of, I do want your thoughts on this. How do you think this affects the defensive side of the ball? Like guys like Danny and guys like Billy, right? They're your big names. They did you a favor by coming back and playing another year because they believed in you. They believed in what Brent Venables was selling. And I don't think they're going to get burned for it. Like, I still think they're going to be draft picks and be solid draft picks. But do you think there's any part of those guys thinking, like, I'm here working my tail off and we are getting our ass kicked week in and week out? And I could already be on an NFL roster making 10 times the amount of money I'm making now. But I did somebody a favor because I tried to play the good guy card. I think that's going to click in a lot of guys' heads. And Brent's whole thing, right? He wants to build a program. He wants guys to stay around for 4 years. He wants seniors. He wants guys to stick around. This is an example of why some guys may not stick around for 4. Because they're like, yeah, we went 10-2 and then we crashed and burned hard. Why would I stick around with that sort of volatility in a program? I don't know and who knows if my head coach is going to be there next year. Because like I could sign up for it and be like, yeah, I'm all in. And then I play 3 games of the season and they fire my head coach. And then I'm playing for a dude who I don't even know, or playing for a dude who I don't even care about. It's that's something I thought about.
I think the defense has become a unit that's somewhat untouchable is the wrong word, but will stay together and fight hard no matter what in the future too. I really feel like they just have a different mindset on that side of the locker room. And sure, I think that could happen, but I don't see like, Jaden Jackson hitting the portal because he can go get the best NIL deal at Alabama next year. I don't see that kind of
Why he
thing.
came to OU.
Yeah.
Remember that recruitment?
Yeah. But I don't know. I get your point, Mason. It's definitely more possible. It would go through my head for sure. That's why you should go to the draft early.
Of course they're regretting it. That's
Yeah.
the answer. Of course they're regretting it. It still does not mean that at the time they made the decision, it was the wrong decision. They were doing right by a guy who has done right by them. Without Brent Venables, these guys are not getting drafted as highly as they are.
That's true.
Completely agree.
The effectiveness of his impact on their careers, on their career earnings, like it's huge. It's huge. I think they still made the right call to come back because they believed in a vision. We all believed in that vision. Every one of us had us hitting the over. Even if you didn't have us making the playoff, you had us hitting the over. And we just kind of got our asses kicked. There are lots of problems for it. I think the offense is the main one. And all of those guys can see that too. They saw what it looked like with Nick Anderson, Andrell Anthony, Deion Burks, Jaleel Farouk. 5. Who's number 5?
Jaden Gibson.
Jaden Gibson, man.
Bauer Sharp.
Look, number 10 as your 5th best option on the field is probably great. They all saw what it's supposed to look like. They've seen what happened since then. Of course, they regret coming back, but like, what can you do? I think they made the right call.
Anything to add, Matt?
Yeah, props for them for coming back. I mean, obviously seeing the vision of what OU could have been this year. And I think it's just one of those one-off years that OU with the injuries, the offensive line, QB play, whatever it might be. But BV recruited these guys to be able to play in the SEC, and the talent shows. I mean, there's definitely glimpses on both sides of the ball of what this team could be. We're just not quite there yet. And I think with another offseason, another recruiting class coming in, another transfer portal, I mean, we're the freaking University of Oklahoma. We're a blue blood program that who doesn't want to play for the Sooners and play in the SEC. So this year has obviously not been what Sooner fans and anyone inside the building wanted, but I have full confidence that they can turn this ship around and make some quite a few adjustments in the offseason. But this is also the time of the year that's really going to test the BV commitment from his players, because this is generally around the time that it's flip season, where some of these commits in the recruiting class maybe think about their decisions about how the teams have been faring and maybe decide to go elsewhere. So I think this is going to be a true test to those guys who have committed to the University of Oklahoma and to play for us next year and possibly moving forward of what that's going to look like. So I think we're going to find out a little bit more of how strong the building blocks are for this BV program and what he's built so far. So we're going to find out, I think, over the next few weeks and months what that looks like.
And it's held strong this season. Like, no bad news yet. No rumblings.
Marcus
Right?
Wimberly today was quoted as saying he doesn't think anyone decommits. Now we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, right? Of course, firings are
Right.
going to play a part of that, and you're going to
Right.
see people leave, but that's dedication of some sort. We've already seen Cortez Mills play the game a little bit, so
Yeah.
and Cortland Guillory. We don't forget.
We don't forget. You guys want to talk about the college football slate real quick? Just a lot of really good and important games this week that I think would be kind of interesting to touch on. Mark, you don't forget he was still on it. The marquee game of the week, Tennessee at Georgia. Pat, how you feeling?
Bad because Georgia lost. I think I would have felt pretty good going into this game if Georgia had beat Ole Miss. I called that Ole Miss would beat Georgia. I don't think Georgia's got it. I don't think Carson Beck's got it.
Carson Beck does not got it.
If you get up against Georgia, you're gonna win. If you get up by like 17 points, you're gonna win the game. They can't come back. Similar to Oklahoma, like they don't have an offense that will get the momentum back for them. So they really have to rely on their defense in their second half. There's defense coming up big in the second half.
What do you guys think about the kid on Georgia who was caught on video celebrating with people storming the field at Ole Miss right
guy?
after the game? Yeah, the Georgia game. Because he released like a statement that was like, oh, they were lifelong family friends. I was excited to see them. And like, cool, that's great. You just got beat in arguably the biggest game of your season. Probably not the time to be jumping up and down with lifelong friends, no matter like when it is.
Yes, and did you see the way Kirby responded to that compared to the way he's responded to his team's countless arrests over the last 3-ish years?
Yeah.
It is mind-boggling. The kid's an idiot. He's stupid. He should know better than all of that. And all these other guys are just young men making mistakes, and they need a second chance.
That's true. That's true.
It's insane.
That's
man.
true. You gotta love college football coaches, man. They gotta pick. They gotta figure out. They gotta play the game. You know,
Yes.
It's definitely playing the game
But
for sure.
But the kid's he's so stupid.
Oh,
you
it's
know how
dumb.
mad we would be
Oh,
if that's
So-
OU Texas.
So mad. So mad.
Get
I'd
your
be
ass in
shocked
the
if
locker room.
I would be
Yeah.
shocked if he's on the sideline this weekend.
That's some Colton Vasek ass move if he came to OU.
Yeah.
For real. Matt, you seem kind of quiet. I feel like you've probably done that at a Norman North game a time or two. That's what it seems like.
Definitely
With a-
not.
with a
I
Norman
mean,
High
definitely
girl?
bad context. No, definitely not. But I mean, nothing about the. I mean, I think that's very erotic. Whether it's your best friends or not. I mean, like you said, Mason, it's the biggest
What did you
loss
say
of the
there?
year.
Was it erotic?
Very what?
Very erotic?
I don't know, but
It sounded like you said erotic, and I think you meant to say idiotic, and
Yeah,
so I
but-
want to make
yeah,
sure.
yeah, idiotic.
Because
Yeah,
there
yeah,
could
let's
be
go with
people
that.
listening that would misconstrue you.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
right.
want look,
Three of us here.
Matt does not get turned on by that sort of stuff. Okay, that's not what he's about.
No, I do not.
That's what he's
Okay.
about. That's
Okay.
not what
I
he's about.
needed
right.
the Matt confirmation. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Matt.
But thinking about the bigger picture of college football this year, I think the first news come out Wednesday. This is it next week?
The rankings? First
Yeah,
rankings have
for
already
the,
come out. The second ones drop tonight on Tuesday night. While you're listening to this on Wednesday, you already know what the rankings are for the second week.
Gotcha.
Matt,
yeah,
do you
a lot.
watch college football?
You
But
know
when
what?
you're
I
not in
actually-
it, it's tough.
Yeah, the only football I watch is OU. I don't watch anything else. But yeah, a lot of the top teams last week lost. So it's going to be
Mhm.
quite interesting who the 12 is going to be moving forward. Because obviously the SEC is just beating each other up. They're just cannibalizing each other. So
So is
it's
the
gonna be
Big
really
12 for the
interesting to
most
see
part.
How many teams? Right, right.
The
And
Big
obviously-
12, I mean, BYU's kind of pulling away at
Yeah.
9-0.
And Colorado still has a chance.
Yeah, Colorado does too. Colorado's got a chance as well. But yeah, man, I agree. It's everybody's cannibalizing
Miami
each
losing,
other.
all these other guys. Yeah, I mean, all these
Look,
top
and
teams.
I'm not here. I want to be clear. I think Alabama's going to win against Mercer. But hear me out. Alabama has struggled at times.
We're not
and
doing this, right?
Messed around. Mercer's already clinched a FCS playoff berth. They've
So
already
why would they
clinched
play
it.
that hard?
Why would Mercer? Because they want to beat Alabama. What are
Yeah,
you talking about?
I think
They're
they don't
going
want to
into they're
lose
going
guys for
into
the playoffs. You're making
No.
a case for Mercer against Bama and saying, "What am I talking about?"
I'm
Yeah, let
saying
them
they're going to
cook.
go.
Let's do it.
I'm saying they're going to go in
Hot
there
take,
and
Mason.
they're
Hot
going
take,
to
Mason.
and they're going to play their ass off.
They are.
This is the same Alabama program when Nick Saban was there that faced a team from the Southern Conference named the Citadel, and they ran through their ass like shit through a tin horn. That's what Nick Saban told you.
Yeah,
I
think we have a better chance of beating Alabama than Mercer.
I agree. I agree.
I
But-
want this kind of passion from Mason next week. That's what I want.
I'm just telling you.
I want him to
if
be
they-
looking for bright sides here.
If you are looking in the second quarter and Mercer's ahead, and you're kind of like, what the hell's going on in Tuscaloosa? I just told you. Just be aware. Just be aware.
Let's make some money on that.
Okay.
Let's
I don't
make
know.
some
Let's
money
check
on
the
that.
spread. I want to
We'll
know what the
talk
spread
about
is.
it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Any other games? Arkansas hosting Texas. Texas is going to win that game by a ton, I think.
Taylor
Spread's
Green good. Is he back?
Yeah,
Is he healthy? Is
I
he
think
playing?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Spread's 13. You have it.
13.5.
I'm just gonna throw $10 on that Arkansas money line and let that ride, baby.
Yeah. Colorado a 10-point favorite over Utah. Utah, the athletic director, had a mental breakdown after
40
that game.
A 40K mental breakdown. He got
Oh.
fined $40,000 for that
Ooh.
that statement he made.
Wow.
Ooh.
I was gonna hit on Colorado, man.
Yeah.
Colorado has covered the last like 7 games they've been in, and they've done it by an average of 14 points.
Yeah.
Maybe we wrote the obituary for Coach Prime's coaching career a little early. I'm very interested to see still
Mhm.
what happens when Shadur leaves. That's
my thing
the
too,
big
right?
one is
Yeah.
what happens when your son is no longer your quarterback. What's your
Right.
plan? We've already seen Skip or Stephen A, whoever the hell, come out and say, "Oh, the Cowboys need to tank and go get Shadur
Yeah.
and then hire primetime." And
Yeah.
it's like, dog, they just signed Dak.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not
But-
going to get rid of that contract. Like, no
But
one's going
man,
to take
they-
that.
But Colorado's played well.
They have.
Might need to eat some crow on that.
Yeah.
Not me.
Another big game in the Big 12, Arizona State, Kansas State. That's a big game in the Big 12 as well. The Big
Is
12 is for
Arizona
Kansas
State
State
up to.
They're 7-2. Arizona State's
Man.
7-2. They may have 2 Big 12 losses, but I mean they're
Those Pac-12 teams, and they're still Pac-12 teams to me.
mhm. Yep.
It's hard to follow all the games later.
I
That's
know.
just on me.
It is.
That's on me as a fan. I'll be
Bo-
better.
Boise State taking on San Jose State. Boise State fighting hard for that at large. They're number
Heisman.
12 right now.
Who do we have? Heisman.
I
Mason.
mean,
State guy.
I feel like it's got to be G&T, but I mean, you can make the case for Travis Hunter. I'd give you that. I wouldn't complain. I think he's an amazing football player, and doing what he's doing on both sides of the ball is insane. But in terms of like a sheer, like, who do I think is the best football player in the country right now? And I think it's Ashton G&T, and I don't think it's close.
Pat?
But
Who's
I
your
don't think that's
Heisman?
what wins it. I don't think that's
Don't
what wins
say
it.
Nico.
No, I completely agree with Mason. It kind of sucks for Travis Hunter though, because he is the most talented, maybe,
Yeah.
football player, but he's not the best one right now. Like, if you could choose between the two, who you wanted on Oklahoma right now, you would pick Gentry. And I think every fan
GT.
would. I think every fan would.
I think it's Jainty.
Yeah, G&T.
Yeah.
Every fan would pick him over Travis
Still on
Hunter.
pace to potentially break the record.
Matt, where do you land?
Dude, that'd be a tough. Sorry, Matt. That'd be a tough year for Oklahoma State if they look this bad and then also get Barry Sanders' record broken by a dude at Boise State. Oh, that'd be a tough year. Okay, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, it's the Boise State guy by a mile. If you compare his stats to prior Heisman winning running backs, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, he is way ahead of where their stats were up to this point this year. I think he's an easy win for Heisman. The problem is a running back hasn't won it in a while. It's mainly QBs that get
Dude,
the
they're gonna
popular
give it-
vote. So
They're gonna give it to Dylan Gabriel. They're gonna.
Good
give it-
name.
This is
I mean,
this is
a
fun.
undefeated Oregon team. I mean,
I've pulled up the odds.
Oh, fun. Yes.
love this
At
game.
least as far as this book has them.
Okay.
And we're going to start at the top. So everyone here said they think Ashton Jeanty is going to be the guy,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Should be.
Okay.
Should.
Leading the pack with a -110 set of odds is Travis Hunter from Colorado.
Really?
Okay. Not mad at that. Not mad at
Second place. Well, I also think, who's going to think about who people are going to be betting on. It's probably more likely to be Travis Hunter than
that. Right.
Yeah.
other guys, right?
Right.
Second place, the quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, Dylan Gabriel, plus 350. So you go from -110 to plus 350. Third place is Ashton Jeanty, plus 375. I think that Boise State,
Mhm.
being at Boise State, is going to end up costing him in the end. I think that is not going to get the respect that it probably deserves, his performance this season, because of
Oh, he had a
who
big
he
game
plays
against
for.
Oregon earlier this year.
He
I
did.
mean, they did win, but
I'm with you. My favorite of these bets would be following up just after those two: Cam Ward plus 500 or Jalen Milroe plus 1600. You've got a couple guys with one loss, and if they just have spectacular ends to the season, that feels like where the money is.
Yeah, Cam Ward sounds like a lot of fun to
He's so
just
good, man.
to just throw some stuff on. Cam Ward would be fun.
Hey Mason, what pick is the Dolphins scheduled to get this season?
Well, after the win, I think they're still a top 10 pick as of now. But they're also a game and a half out of the playoffs, so like it's
Crazy.
it's nuts.
The increasing the
AFC's
playoff,
yeah, the AFC is a joke. It's a mess.
Top 10 pick and Cam Ward's on the board. Do you take him?
No, because you need so much help on the offensive line that you have to do that. Because like if you take Cam Ward and you just paid Tua, like the whole Tua mental thing is going to be that, but then you're also going to have Cam Ward, and as soon as Tua looks any sort of bad, they're going to call for Cam Ward, and Cam's going to get in there and nobody's going to block for him because the offensive line isn't any good. So like the Dolphins GM hasn't drafted a first round offensive lineman. I take that back. He's drafted Austin Jackson. He's a good player, but now Austin Jackson out for the year. They just announced today. So you're down to your left tackle, who's going to retire this year, in Teron Armstead, who's going to be gone. You got nobody at left guard. You're piecing together dudes. You got a center who you signed, who's fine. your right tackle is going to be coming off a season-ending injury, and you got a right guard who is effing awful. So you have to draft an offensive lineman, and that's what people called for them to do last year, and they didn't. They took Chop Robinson, and
That's working out.
it is he looked good.
That's working
He's
out.
looking good. I'm happy about that, but also I'd be a lot
Chop.
happier if we had an answer on the offensive line. So
Mason
But yeah.
talking out of both sides of his mouth because that Twitter feed loves Chop Robinson right now.
it does. No,
loves Chop Robinson.
No,
right now.
I do love Chop Robinson. I thought he had a great game on Monday night. I thought he played very good, and he played really good against the Bills. That's 2 really good weeks. However, the weeks before that, he looked like a rookie, and they also didn't know where to put him. Is the other thing?
Yeah, I
they
agree with
didn't
that.
know where to place him. So all right, that's enough Dolphins talk.
Matt, tell
knew
me
what he was doing.
No, Matt, what
Mark
are
knew
your
what he was
thoughts
doing.
on Chop Robinson?
Yeah, I mean he's a rookie, just like you said, Mason. He's going to make
Crazy.
mistakes, but he's been a good pick for the Dolphins so far. You saw that on Monday night.
Matt, I'm coming for that ass on Thanksgiving. You better be ready. Coming for that ass, baby.
Well, the way Jordan Love's playing, he'll give you some free turkey when he throws you.
Is that the game? Is that a
Mhm.
game on Thanksgiving?
That's the night
What a
game.
Fun day.
I can't wait
Yeah.
for you just to talk crap to me the entire time while I'm enjoying a turkey leg.
I will. I'm gonna.
That's stuff.
Patrick, the Texans blew it, right?
Yeah, man. Blew it.
A lot of
That was sad.
interceptions.
You a big
And
Ravens fan this
throws.
year or what?
Me? Always. But
Dude, Bears.
the Lions
Bears
have
are a
something
mess
special.
too.
The
Yeah,
Lions
Bears
have
are.
something special.
And
Lions
the
are
Rams
good, man.
just lost.
Yeah.
2 in a row.
That's tough.
No, the Rams had won 3 in a row, and then they just lost to the Dolphins.
I don't want to brag too much, but I placed 3 anytime touchdown bets on the Lions game, and all of them hit.
Ooh, love that for you.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I love that
That's
for
pretty
you.
cool.
Falcons are fun this year. They're frisky. I feel like they should have won last week, but
They should have. That's a game against the Saints. It's not OU Texas, but like it's the NFL-ish
Yeah.
version for the NFC South. Like you sort of do throw the records out in those games because people come correct for those games.
Anthony Campanelli, is that who the interim was for the Saints?
No, Darren Rizzi.
Darren Rizzi.
Darren
Still an
Rizzi.
Italian name. Italian
Yes,
name.
But
Yeah.
I'm very interested in whoever Anthony Campanelli is. And how
I need
you
to look
got
that up.
there.
Where did I pull that name out of? That's crazy. I'll look that up.
That was great.
But yeah, Bears look awful. Caleb Williams is in trouble.
Love
And
it.
that-
Same problem with him. He has no offensive line. They decided to
No,
go
none.
get wide receivers and
Did y'all see the players want to the players asked for Tyson Bagent though? The backup.
Well, yeah, dude's cool.
That
Dude, you
doesn't
see
do
him in
anything.
Hard Knock- hey,
Like,
Hard Knocks
I'm
is
sorry.
great.
If you're
Dude's cool.
if you're in a locker room with those two, who do you want to be your quarterback? Not Caleb Williams. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you grabbing a
so
beer with?
interesting.
I mean,
Remember
that's a
who we-
wild take.
Remember how we used to look at Caleb like when he won OU Texas and Patrick was like, I was right. I was right all along. I
He
knew
turned the
it.
corner. He went downhill. I didn't.
Patrick, is that your hot take, or you've been holding something spicy
Oh
back
my
for
Yeah,
us?
do you got a hot take for the
God.
people?
Yeah, let's do your hot
Yeah.
take real quick.
My hot take is if Casey Thompson came into the game against Tennessee instead of Michael Hawkins, we would be in much better shape this season, and Michael Hawkins' future would also not be in question right now.
He's right.
I don't
He's
know.
right.
It's out of
I don't-
nowhere and it
I don't
feels
know.
just like very like, hey, fork in the roadie, but he's right. If you just go to Casey Thompson and say, hey, we think he gives us a better chance than Mike does right now. One, Mike's not
Who's-
offended because
Yeah,
he's a
who's mad
freshman.
about that?
That's
Yeah, who's
the
mad
game.
about that?
And I mean, fans might get salty because they're like, no, show me the new guy.
Mhm.
But fans suck.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it, right? Man, Patrick, this is a great take.
Patrick,
This
do you
is
think
really
you think,
good.
You think Casey should start against Alabama?
I think Casey should take the rest of the season. Should start the rest of the season. 100%. Because you don't want to put Michael Hawkins, you don't want to put him out there against Alabama and LSU too. His
No, I
confidence would
agree.
get shattered.
No, don't put Michael Hawkins out there, but I think you sadly have to ride with Jackson Arnold to
For sure.
literally
I
see
think
what
so,
you
too.
have. Because if he goes out there and he plays like absolute dog water for the last 2 games against good teams, your answer's there. You're like, yeah, okay, pack up. Like this
Yeah,
this
Jackson
handle.
Earl has to play the rest of the season. He has to.
That's
Yeah.
been a real question online, though, is like who plays at quarterback for us? And while I also think it's Jackson, both because he gives you the highest highs and also you need to evaluate this shit, it's weird, man. If your aim is to win, is it Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory here
I
is
kind of like it.
you roll out with Casey Thompson against Alabama. They're like, what the hell? He's not bad. He's
Yeah.
not bad.
He's a football player. He's played a
He's
lot
a
of ball.
football player.
There's a reason that teams keep putting him on rosters. Like there's a reason for that.
There's
I'm
a
not here
reason-
to tell you he's good. I'm
Been
not here to
several
tell you he's
years
good.
There's
since
a
it
reason
was
why
Division
fifth string-
One roster.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
there's a reason why
Fair enough.
fifth-year quarterbacks have success in college football. It's because they're old and experienced, and they'll come out winning a 50-50 game because they have that
right.
experience. That's why we lost this weekend.
I don't hate it.
I like
You
this.
know what? I don't hate it.
This is
I don't hate
do
it.
we have how many hot takes have just been like, whoa, right. This is
Jeez,
correct.
Not a lot.
This is it.
Not a
though.
lot.
This
Yeah,
is
this
one,
is-
I think. I like
this
this
is
a
a good
lot.
one.
Matt hated
Yeah.
it, but I
Yeah,
liked it
Matt
a
doesn't
lot.
like it. Matt doesn't like it.
If Casey Thompson was that much better than Michael Hawkins, he would have been listed second on the depth chart.
Also good point.
Also, you trust this staff to evaluate talent?
Also good point.
I freaking
Like,
don't.
well,
We didn't
now-
see
now-
Xavier.
now-
We didn't see
now I
Xavier
don't.
Robinson until last week.
Well, that's a DeMarco thing. That's on DeMarco solely.
You're right. The
Solely?
our quarterback coach would know the depth chart. Oh wait, we don't have one. We don't have
See,
a quarterback coach.
I think the Xavier Robinson thing is more of a Brent failure than Matt is thinking there.
Yep.
Because the snaps that we talked about in the post game against Ole Miss and Texas are the reason why that red shirt is gone now, and he
Yep.
took 2 apiece. Like that's from top to bottom, you got to have a better plan for players when they're coming in once you decide they're redshirt candidates.
Yeah, but do you
That's-
think BV makes those personnel decisions on the offense like that?
I think he's absolutely if he's not in the conversation, he should be.
Mm-hmm. I
Every
agree.
one of those guys with red shirts to burn, that has to be a conversation people are having. Because otherwise, dude, throw Caleb Hicks out there. We burned his red shirt last season.
Yeah.
Like you got to
agree.
be smart about that. Smart head coaches don't make those mistakes. I
Yeah.
think.
For sure. Well, I think it's time to do MVPs. What do you guys say?
Yeah, let's do our MVP, PGP MVP of the week. Patrick, who's your MVP, man?
Women's soccer had a record-setting fan attendance with 12,000 fans this week. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. MVP,
OU.
women's soccer.
OU
OU
women's soccer? Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying women's soccer in general. I'm like, Patrick, 12,000 is not a lot. But for OU women's soccer, that's a lot. Good
That's
for
pretty
them.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's really cool. Good for them getting some support. Magan, MVP.
I'm going NBA. My Oklahoma City Thunder, specifically Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, became the first NBA player in history to record 45 points, 9 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks in a single game, while also breaking his career high in points over the LA Clips, who we own their pick. Come on down, Cooper Flag from Duke. I cannot wait. No, but an insane game versus the Clippers, obviously with Chet Holmgren being out for 8 to 10 weeks and the Thunder not having any bigs on the roster who are healthy. Big game for Shea. We needed it. Congrats to him. He's my MVP.
I want the Thunder to just hoard all of the unicorn gigantic white guys and have it be Shea and then 4 dudes that you would freak out at if you saw them in a Target.
Mhm.
That's what I want for that team. And we're 1/4 of the way there because Chet's that dude. Isaiah Hartenstein might even be that dude too. We might be halfway.
We're pretty close. But
Chet Holmgren
currently,
out 10 weeks.
8
that
to
what it
10
is?
weeks. Yeah, he
What
I
was
don't
it?
remember.
Broke his hip.
Exactly.
Yeah, broke his hip. I don't know what the exact something wing, iliac wing. I don't
Yeah, your iliac.
Yeah, and
wing.
Hartstein's still out for 2 to 3 more weeks, and our third backup center, I don't think he's supposed to come back for another month or so. Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams.
Yeah, my MVP for the week is going to be my hips. I didn't have one, but the idea that I would break a hip and just be back at it in 8 weeks is crazy to me. Get at us in the comments if you're a doctor and you're like, oh, Mark's wrong on this. But MVP, my sturdy ass hips,
Yeah,
they're
hips
better
don't lie.
than Chet Holmgren's.
Yeah, hips don't lie.
My MVP is high school football playoffs start this week in the state of Oklahoma. I believe they're getting underway in Texas as well, if they haven't already started. But it's a fun time, really cool time. If you get a chance, go out and watch some high school football, man. Those kids play hard. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good teams out there, especially if you're down in Texas. And in Oklahoma as well, you got a lot of really fun teams to be on the lookout for as well, all the way from 6A down through 3A, 2A. Really, really good games to be on the lookout for. Okay, that's gonna do it. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social media at Program Guys with a Z. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the bye week. We can't lose this week, folks. It's gonna be okay. That's gonna do it. Pat, take us out, man.
Keep pushing it, baby.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.